Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday morning trading room. Just a moment here. We'll get the screen share going on. Show you the little reminder here about trading being a risky venture, and you should never risk more money than you can afford to lose. Always good advice. Doing so has a way of taking a lot of risk or stress out of your trading as well. If you're not trading the kids' college fund. All right. We're actually opening with a bit of a down gap this morning. I was looking at the daily chart here before we opened. Come on, work with me. And you can see we're continuing to push higher. We actually breached the 7,600 level yesterday. 7,700 is where the contract highs are parked at. Volume is declining as prices are heading higher. So market participation down as prices go up. I wonder, are we due for another pullback or another reverse? I think it could be so. But overall, the trend is still up. We should favor bullish signals, although here to start the morning, pre-market was pretty quiet. But here to start the morning, we're definitely in a downtrend. The overnight, relatively inactive. And, well, we're getting a few signals here. I don't know. I'm not all that keen on an early signal just yet. Oh, see, now we're going to come back with a counter trend signal. The Falcon here already working a possible trend change signal. The Hawk also getting bullish, and the Raptor producing or will produce a counter trend signal. I wonder if we would be better off looking long than short because of that opening gap above the market. I wonder, would we try to get into that gap? Here now the Falcon. All right, I always say I don't like early trades, but here is an early trade for those of you inclined this way. It's the first in sync signal on the Falcon. You can do the same thing on your Eagle and or Raptor. And I'm going to take this bar here into account. Oh, and let me get this one out of the way entirely. No, everything's out of sync again, so we'll just cancel that. Forget that. We'll put it away for now. Oh, here the Raptor actually coming back with a number 3 signal, a with trend signal. So there was an opportunity there. And we're watching the market retest the current lows. And here we come back with another buy attempt. Here on the Hawk, you could buy above this green bar sell. The Raptor should produce a number 2 signal. I'm going to go back here to the Falcon. I may have been just a little bit early on my buy attempt. We're going to get a trend change signal here, quite possibly. The Bollinger Suite already in sync. That's part of the reason I'm getting maybe a little bit more bullish here as well. Okay, I'm going to park my order kind of here above the highs. I'm going to get this out of the way, my stop loss. So same idea as before. My idea is that if the market continues higher from here, as we produce the trend change signal, that the signal will initiate somewhere around here. Now this is just a little bit of experience showing through that, you know, I've watched the charts enough that I can more or less eyeball where the signal will print, if it prints. Yeah, okay, so you see the signal printed actually a little bit earlier. I anticipated it to print right about here, but that's all right. We'll take it. We'll take it. And I'll bring my stop up now. I'll use the crest here in the trend line to start. And as we get about 3/4 of the way to the profit target, I will roll my stops up. There we go. Come on, a couple more ticks, you stinkers. See, had I entered on the hash mark, it would have been no problem getting to my profit target. Roll a little tighter still. Oh, one more tick. There we go. Hooray! Hooray for us. Okay, so how did I know the market was likely to head higher? Well, it was really kind of based on this, what it was doing here out of the open. You could have envisioned this as a little bit of a sideways trading range. The market breaking down to the short side and failing to continue lower. That's key. That's your whole test of the extreme thing going on. Mostly when we see tests of the extreme, we see the market come up short and then reverse. But you can see it actually trade a little bit lower. The fact of the matter is the market could not continue lower. So if you saw this as a little bit of a sideways trading range, the market headed lower, you could have put your just in case order to short down here. And then as the signal developed, it became fairly obvious that the market was not going to continue lower because we produced a buy signal. And so I chose to try it to the long side. And fortunately, it got up, found the high probability profit target. The Bollinger Suite was in sync here, which was helpful. And of course, the last consideration, we had that opening gap above us. With opening gaps, it's always tricky, but it does seem as though the market will be inclined to close the gap earlier rather than later. Okay, some pretty decent follow through on that. As the market tries to get into that gap, I could have, in hindsight, I could have held on a little bit longer. But, you know, trading in hindsight is pretty darn easy. I'm not disappointed with my profit target. Um, you know, had I held on, I could have easily made my profit for the day just on this one move, and it may well turn out to be the move of the day. We shall see. But even so, you know, there's nothing wrong with having a modest profit objective of only $100 per contract per day. You can see you really only need one good trade. And after that, your profit is determined by what is usually referred to as scaling. And scaling is nothing more than leveraging your position size relative to your account. So for those of you unfamiliar with this concept, it is a very important concept. It is what, you know, quite literally will make or break you as a trader. And position sizing is all about controlling your risk. That's why the trade calculator here will default to the risk percent mode. So you can see that this risk is always within the $250 mark, which would be 2.5% of my capital. As the capital increases, then my position size also increases. My profitability will increase because now instead of having one target as a profit target, I can have two contracts on target, or three, or four, or five, as the case may be. But all the time, I am never risking more than a preset risk amount of my trading capital. Very, very important. It cannot be overstated. The fact of the matter is, if you risk too much, you will lose too much. And before too long, you'll be struggling to trade because you won't have enough capital. If you risk too little, you will never get to a point where your earnings count. But remember, the risk has always needs to be controlled by your capital. So if you're trading a small account, let's say you've squirreled together $10,000 and you're trading with $10,000, okay, you're pretty much restricted to taking single contracts. But if you do this day in and day out over the course of the year, you will build your trading account by adding up to another $20,000 to your trading capital. So now, next year, you're trading a $30,000 account. Well, now you're getting a little bit, you're seeing more opportunities. Not more opportunities. We're not looking for more opportunities, but you're in a position where you can apply more capital. So with a $30,000 account, okay, now you're in a position you can trade 2 contracts. And so the next year, instead of making 20,000, you can add another 40,000 to your account. Well, now you're up to 70,000 and you're off and running. Not by trading more often, but simply by adding more position size to your positions. I've said it before, I'll say it again, it is a concept that most traders never get their heads around and is probably one of the major obstacles to traders making any serious money in the market. All right, well, things taking a little bit more of a bearish turn now, and that would likely be due to the overnight downtrend trying to kick in. If we go back here to our little early trading band, you can see we had the breakout, we have the retest. Now it looks like we're looking for the market to potentially head higher again. But what's interesting is that we actually have the market in a little bit of a bind where we can short below this point right here. We can buy above this point right here. The eagle already producing a hard edge bounce signal. If you chose to be a little bit more aggressive on this, I'm sure the raptor and hawk and falcon are also producing corresponding signals. All right, what I'm going to do is I'll just use the chart trader here, and I will park an order up there and down here. And we'll see which way they choose to go. All right, so it looks like if they get here, my profit target will be around the bottom end of this trading range. And if they head higher, maybe we'll do a little measured move here and figure out where the market may go to. All right, so there's my trade. When the market is conflicted like this, a second push opportunity, always a good idea. We don't want to get brought in too early. Oh, the hawk actually, without a signal, it's going to produce a first micro macro cross at this point. The raptor coming up here with a number 3 signal, so the raptor giving us something a little bit earlier. And the falcon also doing an early trend change signal. So we've got a couple of opportunities there. Decent ranges this Tuesday morning relative to what we had been seeing. Okay, I'll continue to play this one from the Eagle. The Bollinger Suite here, if it continues higher, it looks as though it should come in sync, which would add a little bit of bullishness. Right now, at least according to the Bollinger Sync Suite, prices are relatively neutral. Tempted to roll my buy order in a little bit tighter to take advantage of this trend change signal that's printing here. Maybe I should just leave well enough alone. This is the point where I know the sellers showed up. So if the buyers can get above there, well, then we're going to start tagging some sellers' exit orders, which are buy orders, buy stops. Price is liking this whole 7,600 zone, though. You can see here 7,600 kind of skewering the market on both sides. Took a little swing lower, didn't go lower. Took a little swing higher. So far, not going higher. All right, are they gonna try to break the top end? The lack of momentum is impressive. Oh, maybe not. A little bit of a test of the extreme here now, just very short term, but a test of the extreme all the same. I bet the Raptor's going to give a number 2 signal, and so it did. That's now the counter trend signal, the soft edge sell. Target for the number 2 signal, typically the hard edge, so you can see we're there right now. But if I get a second push, I may bring my exit order or my stop order up. As the market gets itself into a tighter and tighter little trading range. Okay, so there's 2 bars counter, so 2 bull bars. I will bring that up and my profit target there. I could aim for a bigger move. This is fairly modest. Oh no, it's kind of in line with that. All right, they're going to try it to the short side. Let's see what we get. As I get to my about 3/4 of the way to my profit objective, once again, I will roll to break even. Come on, you can do it. We're below the primary support, so typically we move 2 zones. This is zone 1, this is zone 2. So conceivably, we could see the market trading down here 75, 78.5 if you wanted to extend your profit objective. But first things first, we got to see the market continue a little bit lower. They're still struggling near this breakout zone, the breakout, the retest. This is where the buyers stepped up. Trying very hard to be patient. Oh, you stinkers. Okay, well, time to bring my stops in at least a little bit. Very neutral. You know, it's always tough trading when the market is so blasé, just sitting there. I'm not holding out a whole lot of hope here for this particular position. They made their attempt lower and that failed where the buyers stepped up, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to get tagged. And there we go. Nuts. So I don't know, was that counter trend or was that with trend? Well, right now it looks as though it may have been counter trend as the market is prepared to head higher. Well, that was unfortunate. So when that happens, and it will happen, it's part of the process. You can't beat yourself up over it. I know a lot of people do, but you can't. The only way to avoid losses is not to trade. And that is the truth of the matter right there. You heard it here first. If you want to avoid all losses, don't trade. All right, so we've got ourselves a bit of a trend change going on. Another breakout and retest developing. So here was the trading range. Here's the breakout, the number one signal. You could treat this as a second push to the number one signal, in which case we'll be looking to go long. or not. So I'm looking to incorporate this zone right here as my second push and enter above there. If the market gets above there, so far, well, look at that. So far, we're not interested. All right, let's put that away. Okay, so now what? All right, if we get a, excuse me, if we get a pushback, then I may try framing my trade again with a buy above this level here and a short below here. We're all the way back to the hard edge now. Stinkers. We're getting a signal here to short in the Raptor, but we're back into the hard edge. We're going to get a trend change signal here on the Falcon. Decisions, decisions. All right, here we go. Might be a little bit on the aggressive side here, but I will look to short below the current bar. All right. I will short below the current bar and I will place my other order above here. The idea is we've got the sideways trading range going on. This is the breakout. This is the retest. If the retest fails, the market should head lower. If the retest holds, the market should head higher. So it's a little aggressive. Like I said, I'm putting a fair amount of weight on this trend change signal here for the Falcon. We're going to get a first micro macro cross signal coinciding. Oh no, I guess we got the first micro macro cross back here. Okay, here comes the number 3 signal. kind of holding this idea that the market broke outside of the trading range and is now going to try to get bullish, maybe. We'll see if we get a second push opportunity on this number 3 signal. I will likely tighten my entry. And now we're pushing back from the top end. All right, well, things getting pretty quiet here again. Okay, here we go. We're going to try it to the long side again. And I will set a profit target. Come on. And it looks like it's going to fall right here at the median line. Wow. Here we go again. This was the same thing yesterday. After an early move, the market just falling flat. And not giving up anything. All right. Maybe getting a little bit of follow through on this. Move back here to the median line should give us a fill of the opening gap. Come on. All right. At this point, I'm going to start squeezing the trade here a bit. All right, I'll take the chance. Here we go. Come on. No. It may turn out that was a little bit too aggressive with my stop, but you know, we've had a fairly decent move higher here. What, in hindsight, what I should have done is I should have been more aggressive on this number 3 signal. All right, we'll put that away. Another pushback, maybe. Now that we haven't filled the gap 100%, but certainly pretty darn close to it. Has this turned into a great big bear flag? Well, it does look like I was perhaps a little bit quick. We didn't quite hit what would have been my profit target, but we were pretty darn close. That's all right. It does kind of confirm the market may still be in an uptrend here. I would like to see a little bit of a pushback. All right, this little bit of a double top here may open up the possibility of a quick little move lower back to the hard edge. The band not very broad right now. Everything's kind of trading in slow motion. I think, given how the market has responded today, I think I would prefer to be more bullish at this point than bearish. Here was the open. We had the quick little move lower. We've pretty much been bullish since then. Okay, back to the hard edge. Let's see if we get a reaction in slow motion. Oh, really? Or are we going to get a trend change signal? All right, well, a little bit more follow through here to the short side. Well, what looked like was going to be maybe a bullish trend, they've now made a liar out of me. Let's see, have we breached that trend line yet? Yes, it does look as though we've breached that trend line. No bullish pushback, not yet anyway. Well, we need to see a little bit of a pushback. We know where the sellers are hiding. They're hiding up here at around 76.20. Now we got to see where the buyers are. It looks like they are maybe digging in around 7,600. Oh, well, what do you do? Oh, thank goodness Ron is asking a question. Ron asks, Eric, my hawk does not look like yours. Do you have different settings? Well, let's take a look. I did not think so. I think I've got the default settings. So first, let's go to the data series. And I'm running the Mean Renko's version 2.0. This is on Ninja 8. If you're running it still on Ninja 7, just set your bar size to 6 ticks. But my trend is 6 and my reversal is 6. So that means the body size is 6 ticks, or the reverse, the tail or the wick will be 6 ticks. And on the settings, I did not change anything. So unless Ben's made some changes and hasn't told me, let's see here. I'm not sure if there's even anything here to adjust. The hawk tends to be locked down. Now, I did change the cosmetics. The colors, I don't know why it is programmers seem to have a limited imagination when it comes to choosing colors. They always go green and red. So I've changed my alert colors. I changed the color for the warning dot, the buy alert, the hash mark. I changed the color for the short side. But that's really the only change I've made. Oh, I see. Ron says mine were set at 8. Yes, I think it shouldn't load with 8 as the default. Maybe that's a little glitch we need to look at. It should load with 6 as the default. But feel free to experiment. That's why we developed the Mean Renko bars 2.0 so that you could play with the brick sizes. Adapt it for the market you're following. Well, that was a fairly smooth move lower. We didn't get too many opportunities there. The hawk, I suppose, actually giving us the best chance at a first micro macro cross to short right here or right here, depending when you clued into it. Either way, it did get low enough to find your profit objective. Oh, I see. The Ron says my settings for the Eagle are 8. I would recommend, okay, for your Falcon and Hawk, or Falcon and Raptor, 8 is the preferred setting. For the Eagle, I would suggest something a little bit bigger. I've got mine at 12. The Eagle, being the trend trader, we're trying to recognize trends, and normally a larger brick size will do that a little bit better. Ray asks, Eric, your trade calculator settings for your profit target on the Hawk is 10 ticks, right? Yes, it is. Typically for a scalp target, we're looking at $50 per contract. So my target one target is set at 10 ticks. Paul asks a good question. What is the point of the filter on the Hawk? The Hawk, maybe more than the other tools, relies on the filter a little bit more heavily. You're looking for confluence for most of your signals. So you want everything to be in sync. If you don't have this already, one moment here, and I will, oh, we're actually going to maybe get a first micro macro cross signal here to buy. Okay, with all the tools, but it seems especially with the Hawk, because people didn't know what to make of all the Hawk signals. Because it's a scalping tool, it's going to produce a lot more signals. We have what I refer to as the cheat sheet for the Hawk. If you don't have this, you can get it at the members area, or you can just email me, ask for the cheat sheet. I'll send it along to you. These tend to categorize the high probability signals that we focus on. So the first micro macro cross signal, very, very high probability signal on the Hawk. It's the first signal that occurs after the micro and macro lines cross. Everything needs to be in sync, including the filter. Macro pullback signal, everything is in sync except the micro line. 4 arrow consolidation signal, everything needs to be in sync. The post consolidation signal, this one also happened to be a macro pullback. Again, everything in sync, in this case except the micro line. And then when things start to go out of sync, you can anticipate a potential reversal or a red bar buy signal. So those are the 5 signals that we tend to focus on. So with the Hawk here now, I've got a first micro macro cross to buy. So the signal's printed, everything is in sync now, including my filter. So I can look to buy this market higher. And what I'll do is I will just pull this out of the way for the time being. The Falcon tends to be fairly filter heavy as well. The Eagle, not quite as much. And the Raptor, not quite as much. With the Eagle and the Raptor, because they both more or less use the same filter programming, it's more of a momentum tool, so that you can see if momentum is building or fading, if things are becoming more bullish or more bearish or whatever the case may be. All right, so Okay, now we got the first micro macro cross. I'll bring my stops back to where they were. And we'll see if we can't trickle up here, maybe get a little bit of a scalp target. Rogelio is asking, what's the filter with the triangles? The triangles, okay, the system, regardless of the tool. So this is universal for the Hawk, the Falcon, and the Eagle. They all produce signals the same way. There is programming going on behind the scenes here that you don't see. The graphics that are on here are partly to make the chart a little bit more interesting rather than just looking at the price bars. It's also to help you interpret what's going on. But there are programming parameters behind the scenes as well. When half of the programming parameters are met, you will get a warning dot and an audio alert. This is to draw your attention to a potential trade. When all the programming parameters have been met, you will get a triangle and a hash mark. Now, the hash mark is merely a suggested entry point. Being a computer program, we had to predefine an entry point. We couldn't say, well, I would enter, actually this time, I would enter below here because it's only a couple of ticks from where the signal bar is. No, you can't do that. You have to define an entry point. And so the hash mark will print one tick above or below the signal bar. The triangle identifies the signal bar, but it tells you that all the trade parameters have been met, and so now it's decision time. And if you lean toward the high probability signals, more often than not, you will find yourself on the right side of a position. And like I said, this is universal. This goes for the Hawk, the Falcon, the Raptor, the Eagle. Now, the other signals that print, the ones that do not qualify as a high probability signal, like this one right here, this is a secondary signal. All the programming parameters have still been met. It is still a viable trade, but it's a little bit more of a judgment call. If the market was in a strong trend, or you deemed it to be in a strong trend, or you missed the initial signal and you were looking for a second place to get in, or perhaps you're looking to add to a position, then these would be trades that you could take to add to your position. So our first micro macro cross signal here, now hitting our high probability profit target. I don't know if you noticed on that one, but because it's the Hawk and my trade parameters are a little bit tighter, I was actually able to take 2 contracts on that trade. See, I'm able to trade with 2 contracts. So even though it was just a $50 target, I was still able to make it and turn my $100 profit. Ooh, and it's looking like there was actually a little bit more there as well. The nice thing about trading multiples is you can take profit on one or part of your position and try to run out the rest of it. Yeah, the line with the triangle is just the hash mark. It's the suggested entry point. Right, so here's your first micro macro cross signal on the Hawk. There's the warning dot. Here, let's pull this over. We'll do it on this one here. Okay, so everything is in sync now. The micro line has crossed the macro line. We've got the warning dot along with the audio alert. Now we have the triangle and the hash mark. This tells us the order is complete, or the signal trade parameters have all been met. The hash mark is the suggested entry point. So if I were to enter this trade, I could put my entry right there. But in actual fact, because this little swing high is only 2 ticks further, I would probably sacrifice the 2 ticks and enter above here. You don't have to, you can certainly enter on the hash mark. But for me, I'm always a little bit more comfortable if I see a little bit of momentum, if I kind of make the market take out a little swing high or low. But that's me. Regardless, it made no difference, the market going well beyond our profit objectives. And like I said, the same format applies to the other tools as well. So here on the Falcon, you can see when a trade is starting to develop, you'll get the warning dot. And then when the trade is complete, you'll get the triangle and the hash mark. Here on the Eagle, same thing. The Eagle, sometimes, because it's a larger brick size, and especially if the market is moving slowly, very often you'll get the warning dot, triangle, and hash mark all developing on the same bar. So the warning dot will flash first. You'll get the warning dot and the audio alert as the bar is forming. And then when everything is complete, you'll get the triangle and the hash mark. Here was an instance where we had the warning dot, and then 3 bars later, we got the triangle and the hash mark. Oh, I see. Rogelio's asking, what is the micro line? Okay, well, with the hawk, besides the bars painting red or green, the micro line relative to the macro line helps you determine direction. So the micro line below the macro lines, and the micro line's the thin one, obviously, the macro line's the thick one. With the micro line below the macro line, we're bearish. With the micro line above the macro line, we're bullish. So we're going to concentrate on buy opportunities. All right, gang, things are starting to fizzle here a little bit. I think we'll wrap up shop here for the morning, and we'll do it all again tomorrow. If you are trading the remainder of the day, I think we may see a rather large trading range develop. The market knocked down here around the 76.21.22 zone, and it looks like we're slowing a little bit there. Obviously, support down here near 7,600. So it's you're probably going to see it go back and forth there for a little while. All right. I will see you tomorrow. We'll talk to you then. Bye for now.